maybe this is an opportunity to rethink going, okay, if we're going to do velocity programs, you got to do it with this. I can tell you there's a study that I'm leading right now that we're actually in the midst of it, and hopefully we'll start doing data collection by May. That is, look, these weighted ball programs aren't going back in the house, right? They're going to continue to be used. So is there a way that we can train pitchers to improve velocity more safely? And we're looking at something at UF using footballs. I remember growing up, I had the Nolan Ryan pitching Bible.
Yep.
I know Nolan Ryan hurt his elbow in 68 or 69. But other than that, I don't know if he ever had an injury. Now he had a big injury in 68 or 69, but he was a freak, but he was training in the 70s and 80s the way everyone else is doing it now. He just was ahead. He was two generations ahead of everybody. He
Yeah, and
was
if
doing
I
great.
correct me if I'm wrong, it was him and Dr. House got
Yep.
together at
Yep.
that
And
time.
Tom House is what he puts out there. Um, you always got to be really careful what's on the internet and the social media channels. But I do follow Dr. House. I think his social media channel is called Mustard. I think like mustard on a hot dog.
Right.
It's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anybody's
Yeah.
listening, I don't know Dr. House, but if you want to follow someone, he is someone that I would follow. Um, but Bill and Ryan always had a football, and you're like,
Yep.
oh, it's just in Texas. They played football. No, and if you look now, I went my last major league game I went to, I think was Minnesota Baltimore. I was at a conference in Baltimore last year. The starting pitch for Minnesota, football was next to his bag before he even got to the mound. So I started thinking, I'm like, we have all this idea that football is a heavier ball than a baseball. It just is.
Right.
But when you
Lower arm
throw it,
speed.
you have to almost throw a screwball if you want it, which completely takes off you can't really see on the screen. There you go.
That's okay.
Takes the stress off of the medial or ulnar part of the elbow because you don't turn your wrist in, you turn it away.
Right.
I'm like, well, if these programs are not going to go away, let's try something here. And myself and our colleagues, we put together an IRB and got all passed. And long story short is we've got about 10 to 12 pitchers and with one group of six, one group of six, looking at someone did a football throwing program for 6 weeks and did the throwers 10. And the others just doing the throwers 10. They didn't pick up a baseball, they used the football. And they were checking their velocity, their kinematics, all the biomechanical type stuff, and
Now,
seeing did your
you have to explain what the thrower's 10 is.
Oh,
That's
I'm
a
sorry. So the throwers 10, I
stabilization
believe,
building
was
workout.
developed, I think it was Kevin Wilk. And he has done a lot of his career. I think at the American Sports Medicine Institute in Birmingham, worked with Dr. Andrews. He's probably one of the more well-known physical therapists in this country, particularly for baseball.
Hmm.
And it's a series of exercises meant to maintain and or improve strength that is specific to a pitcher.
Right.
So your flexor forearm, so that yeah, this part of your
Yep.
forearm,
Yep.
your rotator cuff muscles, a few other things as well. And it's something that all you need is either a 2 to 3 pound little dumbbell or tubing. There's a lot of not to endorse it, but I know Mr. Jaeger, Jaeger bands, things like that, J bands. So everyone is doing that in the program, and then half of them are doing a football throwing program. So instead of throwing with a baseball
Right.
or a heavy baseball, they're just throwing with a football. And we kind of designed a program based on some data that came out like 30 years ago. And we're checking what your velocity is, making sure there's no injuries, and then we want to follow you throughout your high school season in 2025. It's a very small study. It's a pilot study, but if it works, and by works meaning no injuries or minimal injuries and velocity increases, maybe this is an opportunity to rethink going, okay, if we're going to do velocity programs, you got to do it with this.